What if the past, the present, and the future could meet right here, right now? October 14th and 15th, 2025 are not ordinary days. They represent a threshold of harmony, a moment of perfect synchronicity woven into the invisible fabric of time, an opportunity to recognize more deeply who we are and how we can attune to the pulse of the universe. In an unprecedented phenomenon, 3 distinct calendars, the Maya long count, the sacred Tzolk'in, and the Gregorian calendar, align, orchestrated by the golden proportion. This is a unique convergence of time cycles that will not happen again, masterfully synchronized by the mathematical code of creation. But what does this alignment truly mean? To understand it, we must delve into the science behind the golden ratio. Nature reveals a divine pattern in every expression of creation, from the spiral shape of galaxies to planetary orbits, from the arrangement of leaves and flowers to the proportions of the human body and the structure of our DNA. This pattern is the golden proportion and is mathematically expressed as the number 1.618033. For centuries, mathematicians, artists, and sages have recognized it and incorporated it in the creation of temples, pyramids, and works of art, seeking to reflect the inherent harmony that exists in the cosmos. Now, when we speak of the golden intersection of timelines, we are referring to a unique event in which the cycles of time converge, orchestrated by this same pattern of universal harmony, reminding us that time is art. How is this so? The harmonic convergence of time. On October 14th to 15th, 2025, exactly 443 years, equivalent of 161,803 days, will have passed since the start of the Gregorian calendar in 1582, a fractal manifestation of the golden number. In the Maya long count, this date is recorded as 13.0.13.0 .0.4 Ahau, a cosmic marker announcing the completion of two great cycles, 13 baktuns of 144,000 days and 13 tons of 360 days since the beginning of the Mayan calendar in 3114 BCE. This double alignment is unique, as the number 13 holds the cyclical foundation of the advanced Maya science of time and holds the 7th position of the Fibonacci spiral, governed by the golden ratio. In the Tzolk'in, the sacred 260-day count, the day 4 Ahau, or 4 Sun, marks the very same day that marked the start and the end of the great cycle of 13 baktuns, symbolically guiding us back to the origin of time. Positioned within the golden section of this sacred cycle, 4 Ahau invites us to attune in perfect harmony with the sun, our source of light and life. But the resonance of this day doesn't end there. It projects far into the future, synchronizing with the start of the 21st Baktun on October 14th, 4772. Thus, the great cycles of Maya time connect on a vast golden spiral, upon which our ancient future past blends into the eternal present moment with impeccable precision. Time is speaking to us. All of this occurs in the language of time and number, but also in the language of the soul. These events are not mere coincidences. They are expressions of a cosmic harmony, showing us that time also follows the laws of a higher order. Within the Mayan worldview, time cycles are not just numbers. They are harmonic chords of a cosmic symphony, orchestrated by the divine pattern that weaves all life into the infinite spiral dance of creation. Now, this same pattern synchronizes calendars and cultures, reminding us that ancestral knowledge resonates with the universal principles of harmony. By recognizing the value of both science and tradition, we are invited to learn from our ancestors and celebrate the wonder of existing in a universe governed by elegant design principles. A galactic pulse that beats once again. Astronomically, this event may mark the most significant moment of synchronization since the galactic alignment of December 21st, 2012, when the solstice sun aligned with the heart of the Milky Way, closing the great Maya cycle of 13 baktuns. Now the golden intersection of timelines opens a portal, a resonant spiral that continues the great story of time. It is a golden opportunity to remember that we are part of a vast universal melody, and that every heartbeat, every number, every day is speaking to us. An opportunity to remember, recognize, and be reborn. This convergence of time cycles comes at a pivotal moment, exactly 533 years after the so-called Meeting of Cultures of 1492. But what if, instead of reopening old wounds, we choose to re-signify the past through a higher awareness in the present? This event is a reminder that, despite our cultural and temporal differences, we are all connected by the same universal laws. It is a call to honor ancestral wisdom, to build bridges between science and spirituality, between art and culture, between tradition and transformation, between the memory of the past and the vision of the future. It is a once-in-a-lifetime window to pause and ask ourselves, how do we wish to live the time that has been gifted to us on Earth? Time is art. October 14th and 15th, 2025, offer a magnificent opportunity to celebrate together the beauty of the universe we inhabit, and that inhabits us. It is a unique moment to gather in community, to light sacred fires, to meditate, to dance, to sing, or simply to contemplate life through the innocent eyes of a child, and to remember that we are not separate from the earth or the sky. In a time when humanity faces global challenges that require unity and long-term vision, synchronizing in a shared pulse of time can strengthen our sense of planetary community. The golden intersection of 2025 reminds us that mathematics, art, astronomy, and culture can intertwine into a message of harmony and hope. This moment is no coincidence. It is pure synchronicity. And in this divine moment, we may recognize ourselves once again and blossom together as a new humanity. See you at the golden intersection of October 14th to 15th, 2025, where the past, the present, and the future converge in perfect harmony. May peace, harmony, and beauty prevail on Earth.
the Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view.
And greetings to everyone tuning in now or in the future to this very special broadcast of the Galactic Spin podcast. Love how that rhymes. My name is Mikuak Rai Kin 126, and I am joined live by my brother Rubén Llínas Kin 113, who is on location in Palenque. In Lakesh. Rubén, can you hear me?
In Lakesh, brother Makua, I can hear you loud and strong. I hope that you can hear me well, and everyone tuning in to this special broadcast from the jungle, because we have had a wonderful experience here. We were received by Palenque, the place of the great waters, which is the significance of La Camha, by the waters, the purifying water. So it's been raining a lot, and we give thanks because the land needed that. But of course, had its consequences on the technical side. So we wanted to do this yesterday, and we are doing it today, which is even more perfect because we are coming back to like the Ouroboros biting our tail, connecting back to the day that we initiated this adventure.
One year ago exactly today, October 7th, 2024, we initiated this, and we know, obviously, people around the world are aware that was on the 1 year anniversary of that most recent conflict with Israel and Hamas in Palestine. And so, or in the Gaza Strip, we'll say, what it's been reduced to, formerly known as Palestine. But in any case, very, very, very important to convene on this day in the yellow warrior wave spell, which we'll touch on that a little bit, of course. Today also then being the lunar tone of this wave spell, the Red Lunar Earth. And so what that implies, what's being stabilized through this polarization, what is being stabilized? That's a great question for this moment. As we enter the threshold of the golden intersection of timelines, we've been moving toward this marker for the better of 4 years, literally, and then very focused over the past year by offering this space every 7 days. And here we are at the +1 episode after 52 episodes. So this is our +1 special report with Rubén on location live from Palenque. So it's amazing. I want to give a special shout out to Alejandra as well, who just celebrated her solar return on yesterday, is it? No, or
day before.
Days are running away. October 5, that's right. So celebrating her solar return very auspiciously with all sorts of synchronizations and factors factoring and reflecting to us, the synchronicity. And that's the one thing I love about that video that you and Alejandra produced with regard to the synchronicity. Like, this is what we're observing. This is what we're witnessing. The synchronization on a planetary and cosmic scale. You know, we have this interstellar visitor passing through our solar system at this time, and it's not the only one. There are a few others showing up, to the moment. So all these things are meant for us to observe and to appreciate the reflection of what that is indicating. And so we'll get into some of that. And just, again, very grateful to be able to offer this live to the world with you and the beautiful backdrop and surroundings of Palenque. And hopefully we'll hear some of the birds. I hear them in the back.
Actually, there's a creek in the background. I don't know if you can hear the water. but yeah, there's plenty of green here, because with the rain, everything, life just really
Abundant.
flourish.
It's
Yes,
abundance. True abundance. So, yeah, we give thanks to everyone tuning in, and again, who will tune in the future and receive this transmission. Let's go ahead and check the Earth's pulse and see where things are at.
yes.
All right, here we go. All right. So, please, brother, take it away.
Well, as we mentioned 7 days ago, on our last episode, like this time convergence that we are entering is also now highlighted by this space convergence of celestial objects. We have two comets and one interstellar object as special guests for this convergence of time cycles. But having like two comets and this special visitor, which is still a mystery, interstellar Atlas I3, at the same moment, let's remember that 260 days ago we were witnessing this planetary parade. So we had like a little convergence of bodies in space aligned with the 260-day cycle before the golden intersection. So the fact that this is happening now is just the announcement that everything is converging, that we are feeling that tightening of the spiral, and as we enter the eye of the needle, where more will come into that process and that equation. And the name of this episode is uh, connected to entering the unknown, or tapping into the unknown, because we don't know what is going to be on the other side of this vortex of synchronicity that we are entering. And on October 3rd, the interstellar atlas was photographed by the rover, that is the probe that is on Mars, and it captured that clip that we saw there. That happens to it. That's not interstellar atlas. Actually, what we are seeing on screen, that luminous bar, that's actually one of the moons of Mars, called Phobos, which means fear. That was mistakenly confused by the internet, by people. It was taken as, oh, this must be interstellar object that that everyone is tracking, but
But
it's
it's a
really
time lapse
the
image. It's a time lapse image of a moon around Mars.
yes,
Right.
yes,
Name Phobos,
yeah,
like
but
you
it
said.
went viral.
I know, causing panic and
Yes,
fear. Right. Aptly named.
yeah, well, it looks like a cylindrical object
Hmm.
of some sort, and it's really the time lapse effect of the moon moving that creates that shape.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
this is a call to be very careful within the next days as this interstellar object keeps approaching, because right now it entered behind the sun, and we don't know. It's not in on Earth's view, and um, interestingly, because there is a government shutdown in the US, there is no record or new data coming from NASA regarding this subject, nor from the European agencies, which
How
is also,
convenient.
yes. So, of course, it adds to the expectation and to the attention, to the speculation. And but from since we are seeing here is it's just we are focusing on synchronicity. uh, this site, this closest approach to Mars, took place on Kin 193, which is the spectral skywalker, which happens to be connected to Mars. There are each of the 20 solar seals are connected to one planet. We have two glyphs per planet, and it's actually the Skywalker and the World Bridger, the two connected to Mars. So this took place on a Martian day, this closest approach. And the spectral tone is the spectral tone of liberation. And we mentioned last time that also the closest approach to the sun, the perihelion, will take place on October 29th, which happens to be the spectral storm, uh, precisely 26 days before the closest approach to Mars, which make emphasis on the liberation aspect of this messenger, because at the end of the day, these celestial bodies are really messengers. It doesn't matter if it's a natural phenomenon or a spaceship or something else. They are bringing a message to humanity, and the fact that is now becoming like one of the most commented news on the internet. It's a reflection of that we are being called to look beyond, to look beyond the surface, and this is going to be part of that mystery or the unknown that is being revealed as we approach the golden intersection. And of course, well, we were speaking a little bit about the fact that we are completing today 2 years of the tragedy that is happening in Gaza. It is a genocide and is now being recognized by more human beings around the world as that, which is important because it's been like it took 2 years basically to arrive to this point of realizing as a consensus that we were beyond this point. We thought that we were beyond this point after World War II, but here we are confronted with a very similar episode in human history that is asking us to really go in, and inside and connect with our humanity. And there is like this massive protest that took place on that same day, October 5th, during the last weekend in Europe, and the fact that this flotilla, the Sumut flotilla that is on its way to Gaza to bring humanitarian aid, was sabotaged by the Israeli army, has sparked even more um, sentiment of solidarity with the people of Gaza, because seems by the testimonies of those people, those humans who were part of this humanitarian aid campaign, that they have been mistreated. So imagine the people of Palestine being mistreated for more than almost 80 years. So this is what they have to endure on a daily basis, and I think that this is a moment of truth for humanity. The Palestinian people represent our humanity, and it's also a situation that is arriving to, especially today, to a decisive point, a choice point in which whatever is being decided, because now there are meetings in Egypt to find a solution. But we already saw what happened at the UN and the position of the countries involved and the the fact that there is an agenda going on, and we trust that this is going to be really part of the process that we have to undergo to mature as a species, and to really enter a new age of peace and harmony. This, whatever happens in Palestine, will affect the centuries in the future. What happens on Earth? We cannot allow this to go unnoticed. Really, if you have anything
Well,
to add.
yeah, I mean, just to say the whole world is noticing more than noticing. Fortunately, it's really just now a matter of observing, witnessing, and insisting on that shift, because it is windows of opportunity where we meet those moments, such as the one we're meeting right now, where we're in such a moment. And so the whole world is watching. The entire world is watching, without a doubt. And so this gets, though, at the roots of many, many things. We've been talking about nearly 80 years. That's 4 generations worth. And when I look at some of the broadcasts or the interviews with older men in Gaza, just thinking about, wow, they've been there their entire lives under this duress, under this apartheid state, effectively, And so it is a matter of what is the will of the world community to do, and hold to account the current leadership of the state of Israel and their occupying army and forces, and all of that. So, they are clearly using instances of violence to justify greater violence, greater scale of violence. It's it's an unfortunate situation all the way around. It is, truly. So we're just in this together again. And as people approach this, I mean, there's a question of, well, what can we do? Now, obviously, being clear in your conscience on where you are on this matter, that's a starting point. And having the encouragement, be encouraged. We're encouraging you. Speak out if that's on your heart to express, then that needs to be expressed. Whatever is on our hearts right now is what's meant to be expressed right now. That's a part of this transformative process we're undergoing. And it's as if we're turning inside out also. There's a part of us, our collective, where we're being made to look at our inner content, our conscience, and where we really are in that as it relates to the outer world, as it relates to the collective situation. So it's a phenomenal initiation. It's one we've been getting prepared for, I believe, for generations, though, because generations before may not yet have been as prepared, or even collectively we may not have yet as been prepared, as we need to be now. Like, it's not even like we have a choice, though. At the same time, what is the choice? You can't bury your head in the sand, though. You want to definitely collapse into the heart. And that's why I invite people to also go back and listen to the last episode that we did have with Dan Winter, because I feel that was a very instructive opportunity in terms of learning how we're invited to navigate these next several days and heptads even. We're in a very powerful wave spell right now, but it's a very powerful window. So we're invited to bear fearlessness and intelligence in this cycle. So what is your fearlessness? What is your own inner intelligence guide you to do, at this moment? That's really, I think, the invitation qualitatively. And today we're in this energy of the lunar Earth. It's like, okay, what is being stabilized in the heart and conscience of humanity right now? Because we know that this is going to be manipulated, it's going to be exacerbated in many ways, for the benefit of some of the orchestrators who are orchestrating the violence, because they have to perpetuate this to even stay or remain in power, so-called. I mean, if they don't have this conflict to point to as the thing that they're resolving, then, they're going to be booted out by their own people in the state of Israel. That's just the reality of the situation. So in this, this is I have a lot of thoughts, and again, the synchronicities don't lie. The numbers don't lie. So we need to pay attention to what's being stabilized in this polarized.
And I think it's considering that we are completing today this exact 365 day cycle since our first episode, which was inspired by the fact that it synchronized 1 year ago with the yellow magnetic human, which is our free will, the wisdom that we can, as humans, really bring forward so that we can learn from our mistakes and change course. That's basically the point that we are right now, is that we need to choose our humanity. We can really be complicit with the dehumanization of any group on the planet, especially at this point. And the fact also that the conflict started on the blue cosmic hand, Kin 247, that was October 7 of 2023. Is also like the tone 13 is the tone of transcendence, and the hand is accomplishment and healing. So we were entering the process of healing at that point, of transcending the our capacity to forgive and heal, because this is the other aspect of the golden intersection that we have been highlighting, that we need to forgive everything and everyone in order to really pass through this point in without any baggage, or any resentment or anything in our hearts that feels heavy. That's why it's so important to speak, and at now, as speak our hearts, speak our minds with connected to our hearts. And we certainly feel like also the resonance of what is happening today in Gaza to what was happening also centuries ago, when the colonizers arrived to the new world. Because it's the colonizing mentality that we are really healing within this entire episode.
Course correction.
And
Course correction.
yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, well, we entered. If we can go to the next slide, we also mentioned that October 5th, the cosmic tone of the wave spell of the night, which is the cosmic eagle, synchronized with the first day of the sacred 260-day count, called the Cholkij, for the Maya Quiche people that live in Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. And they hold like a special ceremonies to commemorate this day because it's connected to the beginning of time. And I'm going to read here a little script from espiritualidadmaya.org so that we honor properly what this day truly means and why it's so important, because it's synchronizing with the start of the 10 days that were, as we can see on the little diagram on the right, October 5th to October 14th were the days that were lost in time after the Gregorian reform, from that we passed from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. And because it's synchronizing with that moment in time when the memory was uh, distorted uh, due to this calendar change, it is important kind of to go back to the root of time and why this is this synchronization of this most sacred day for the Maya people, the original Maya people, who endured basically one of the most brutal campaigns of persecution. Only until some years ago, in the 90s, was when the peace treaties were signed, and the elders and the the Akip, which is the timekeepers, were able to come out of the dark because they were hiding for this persecution in a very similar way that the Palestinian people have been enduring this persecution. So the meaning of Washakip Bats, which is the Mayan name, which translates to eight monkey in the Galactic Maya count, uh, says this: the meaning of this day's name is translatable and means thread. It is the Nawal that coils. Nawal is like this energy of this guardian of the day. Several meanings are derived from this concept. Some Akihap, which are the timekeepers, call it the thread of our existence because it is closely linked to all life and destiny. It is the day that marks the beginning of life of everything that exists on Earth. But it's considered the continuity of time, which is seen in a cyclical manner, like a ball of thread that coils around itself. The thread of time, the passing days, loops over itself countless times. This is in a nutshell what this day represents, and the fact that for the original peoples, the indigenous people who keep the most untouched and advanced way of measuring time on the planet, it's very special that this synchronization is taking place right before the golden intersection of timelines, because these are the markers that we have been the different calendrical systems that we have been tracking, the ancient Maya count, the Gregorian calendar, and the Galactic Maya count. These are the three um, spirals of time that are converging at the golden intersection, and having this synchronization, the most sacred day of the for the Maya people, the beginning of all life and everything on this planet in their mythology, is very special. It's like a last redemptive window that we are entering as we enter these 10 days from October 5th to October 14th. So this is certainly a window of contemplation and purification, because we are in that process of purging this artificial timing system that we have been using for almost 4.5 centuries. So this is really an opportunity to forgive all the trauma and enter a new timeline, and that this is why we also decided to go for this episode, because as we will see on our next section, we will go deeper into this window, why it's so important, even though we already commented on the the main points, but we will be able to see with more clarity how everything just locks into this 10-day window.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that explanation. It is auspicious to know that we're in that window of 10 days removed, now 10 days redeemed. And the fact
Hmm.
is it's being redeemed by the original inhabitants of the land. And we're asked
Yeah.
a question in the chat here. I want to raise this. All Is Energy asks, what do you think of white European people? When you refer to indigenous people, are you saying those non-white? And I would say that the technical definition of indigenous, and in some cases the way I think we refer to or use it, relates to those who've been originally connected to that land in an unbroken way. That's the idea or the
Hmm.
technical definition of indigenous. I also reflect that indigenous does, and this includes white and European people as well. There are white European people who I know identify themselves as indigenous or with an unbroken relationship
Hmm.
to the earth in a certain segment or territory of the earth. So
Yes,
essentially,
of
there's
course.
also an essential lens that would say everyone is indigenous to the earth. There are those that
Hmm.
do support or offer that definition of indigenous as a lens. And then you also have indigenous as a genealogical connection to a people through a people. So wherever you are on earth, you have this through line of connection genealogically that connects you to space and territory or land. Even if you're not inhabiting that land any longer, it doesn't mean you're not indigenous technically, because you are connected. And that's a big part and very important to know, because a large part of this uprooting that has been the outcome of colonization has resulted in disconnection and dispossession of land and territory. So that's been a big part of this wave of the past 500 years since that
Hmm.
counter 533 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's a big question. Thank you for that question. And that's my own personal worldview is including a composite of all of those definitions, because I think you have to take it on a
Yeah.
case by case basis. Each of them apply invariably. And so we invite people to tap in to their own indigenous nature, because inherently we each possess that. We also have to go through and do our own recapitulation and healing and reclamation
Hmm.
of self as far as it concerns our ancestors, our predecessors, and that work that we're invited, I would say, to do, of this collective and unique individual healing at this time. As if anything
Yeah.
we've been pointing to in the opportunity in fractal time compression is to, in a very short window of time, go through and transmute former offenses that we've either individually or
Mm.
collectively uh, observed or participated in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, but in any case, thank you for the question. And Ruben, do you have a comment to that question as well?
No, yeah, just agreeing with everything you say, because well, all humans are indigenous to planet Earth.
Yeah.
It is just a matter that some areas of the Earth, there are native people that have been connected, or which have their roots there, and their ancestry line that goes generations over generations, that's something that we need to honor. It's the same way like there are parts of the world that some animals inhabit and some other animals are not from there, are not native. So it brings a shock to the ecosystems every time that we have that disconnection from the root. And we want just make emphasis on that we want to honor all our races and really highlight our humanity beyond the color of the skin. We are all humans, and our blood is red. There is no different colors in when blood is spilled. It doesn't matter. It's just human. It's a human being that is dying in these wars. So we really encourage people to really enter into a very contemplative mode within for the next days, hold space for miracles to happen, for the transmutation of this tragic window of time for the entire planet. Because if one human is suffering, we all are suffering. We are so the
We may have a little frequency jam there from the jungle. I think we have a little bit of your connection is fragmented right now.
that we can enter or leave this time of a little bit here.
Yes. We're having a little fragmentation on your side there. I think you're frozen there, Ruben. So I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. Just to let you know, you cut out there.
I can hear you.
Okay, you cut out there for a little bit, so we didn't quite hear the end, but that's okay. Yeah, exactly. Let me see. We have some other comments. Absolutely. And I refer to the live chat. Thank you, All This Energy, for your response to our sharing. We're happy to share. These are just our opinions and personal worldviews, we can say. And everyone is certainly invited to theirs.
Yeah.
And again, we want to obviously spiral up, and everything that ascends must converge. So as we are arriving at that point, the heart is invited to open and have space to welcome everybody, really. And I say this to say, know your boundaries too. Like, know what is not a frequency match for you also. And that's okay. Like, it's okay, because that's going to be on a unique basis, person to person. There's just so much invited right now, though. One thing we talked about last episode is that, in addition to our blood bleeding red, what is the blood? It's plasma. And the fact is that plasma is charged by your light being. And each of us, even beyond the blood and the body, we're truly light beings. I really assert and affirm that were we able to see ourselves the way that perhaps others see us, for who we truly are, we would see the light relative to our plasmic nature on some level. And perhaps we're going to see more and more of that shown through the sciences to reflect that aspect. The fact that we are solar energy, plasma light beings, emanations of the sun. And the sun emits consciousness. And we've been under the duress of a sort of a lunar framework for a long, long time. And it's been in that framework, as even Dan Winter pointed to last time, that the moon, according to some perspectives, is technically an empty metal vessel. put there to help stabilize Earth and keep it in orbit around the sun, without which the planet may have fallen out of orbit a long time ago. So it's some interesting things. But as we really do consider course correction insofar as how we perceive ourselves and others, and how we perceive our relationship to land as not being a result of a zero-sum game, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose, and all of that energy, we deliberately called that energy out at the beginning of this whole ceremony to say we're breaking free from that worldview. That no longer applies unless we choose to apply it. Now, insofar as it applying to others through continued oppression and dispossession of land, that's a current issue that has centuries of reverberation. We're here, as you said earlier, it's been many centuries that we're witnessing this sort of repeating pattern. And what we see in Gaza is a current expression of that same challenge to the core of humanity, frankly. So,
it's like we are seeing echoes of old movies, really. And that's the most recent expression of that is the conflict that we are witnessing, because the irony and the tragedy of it is that the people inflicting the trauma right now were the victims of the trauma, and the purpose of these windows is really to overcome the trauma by choosing a different path, really surrendering to the fact that we are all humans, and of course the in the same way that we would not want an alien race to invade us, no one will feel in or take it in a good way if their ancestral land is being taken away and they are uprooted from the land. So this is certainly the focus on the planet right now is in this situation, because it's our litmus test as a species. If we cannot solve this way in a humanitarian and heartfelt way, we are still in our adolescence. We need to mature as a species.
you're absolutely right. I wanted to point to the screen currently, just so people know. I mean, along with these numbers we've been tracking, for those of you who've been tuning in with us, you can see the different counts depending upon your screen. You might need to zoom in to see it. But we have the new Sirius count on the far left bottom of the screen. And I want to invite you to add +1 to that date right there, because these were made for yesterday's show. But I want to just point out that we are in the +1 episode of our 52 episode series. This is episode 53. And today we're inviting you to add +1 to the day count, because we're airing a day later than we had originally intended. So just add a +1 there as a good little exercise for timekeeping. Then we know, therefore, the NS count today ends with 197, not 196. That was yesterday. The Lillian count is 161795. And the Mayavajasima long count should end with the last factor being 13. So that's why we're just saying to people, yes, thank you, Michelle, those are yesterday's counts, but I'm just making them current for people. Just a little exercise in the timekeeping that we do just to keep track, so they can kind of appreciate a little nugget of just the day-by-day sort of tracking of that. And it just matters one day at a time, the +1 factor. And not only that, you're in your +1 year, Rubén, right? And you're back in Palenque. Now, there was a cycle ago, I'm trying to remember exactly when, The last time you were in Palenque, would that have been 520 days ago at this point? Was that your last?
Uh, a little bit more than that. We
Okay.
were here during the the closing of this cycle and the opening of the Green Castle. No, the opening of this castle actually. We
Yeah.
were here on King 151
Yeah.
actually last time. So, but it's interesting that well, at least we are all closing our own also personal stories and our own stages of evolution
Mm.
as the planet goes through this massive process of or massive shift, which started basically on December 21st, 2012, and they call it the dimensional shift. And here we are almost 13 years later,
Yeah.
and everything that we have experienced in the last 13 years is coming to a new point of the story that is inviting us to transcend to the next level. That's the purpose of the number 13. So I arrived here on this same wayspell for the first time, and here I am in 2012 on during the wayspell of the night. I arrived here, and I arrived back again during that wayspell. So for me, this is really a beautiful way to close also that entire cycle of 13 years and give thanks to the land. We feel so blessed and grateful to be here to like you were saying before, this is a time for recapitulation, for remembrance, and for gratitude, for everything that we have experienced individually and collectively. We have to give thanks because the dimensional shift is entering a new phase, and in order to enter that new phase lighter, it's important to let go of the past, everything that is dragging us down,
Yeah.
personally and collectively.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Absolutely. Well, in support of that, let's go ahead and sink in and tune up. Yes, yes. In this most auspicious yellow resonant seed year, we are now well within that. Let me make sure not to lose the loop here. We're well within that electric moon. So let's talk
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, we're closing the yellow. Uh, well, first of all, each of the moons have one red, one white, one blue, and one yellow heptad of 7 days. We are closing the yellow heptad, so we are at the end of the third moon of the year. And no, we are actually on the blue heptad yet. The golden intersection in 7 days will be closing the yellow heptad. But if we can go to the next slide, what that we can appreciate better, because every moon on this fractal cycle of 13 moons, it corresponds to one kin, and this entire moon corresponds to kin 107, the blue electric hand. So this is the wave spell of life force. So this entire cycle of 364 plus 1 days that we are navigating is the cycle of the serpent. Each kin equals one moon, and we are in that electric moon which is the electric moon of service, in which we are governed or guided by the energy of the hand, which is healing and accomplishment. And that's what we were speaking before, especially because this is also the galactic signature or the birth sign of the President of the United States. So we need a lot of healing to happen for him, and this is also, of course, an invitation to activate that healing. Right? That's the tone. The electric tone of service is the activation of our service. This entire month we have been asking ourselves, what is my service, or what is our service? So as we enter the golden intersection, we are being reminded to really how do we want to serve from now on, how this transformation, because the blue is also the energy of transformation. We are in the blue heptad. How we want to transform ourselves in human beings that are in service to the whole. And here we are on the green square, and what we see in pink is the 10-day redemption window that we have been highlighting since the beginning of the episode.
We need to add +1 to that again, just for folks, because that was yesterday's slide. So the green, imagine the green 1 day over on the Kali position. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, well, depending of where we are, today is a lunar day and we have a full moon, so emotions are on the rise. So it's good to notice this, because today being the lunar tone of the wave spell of the warrior, it's really allowing us to contemplate what is the challenge of the earth at this point. And the challenge is our capacity to transcend our differences and end the war within the self, and we as a collective with each other. So the part of that process is, yes, questioning. The word is calling us to question, but also forgiving. And in order to transmute any trauma, we need to go through stages and forgive everything that happened, so that we can create a new reality, not based on the old wounds, but on a new state of being. And as we can see here, those 10 days that were lost in time is like a preparation to enter the world intersection by forgiving everything that happened, all the manipulation, all the trespasses, all the violence that this experiment has created, not only on this part of the world. The Gregorian calendar is now the current civil standard all over the world. So it was, of course, felt much more, had a greater impact in this land, in the new world, because there was a whole different way of relating to time that was uprooted violently. And as we can see on the next slide, this window, it's connected to those days that were lost in the memory, and the 10 days that were declared non-existent by Pope Gregory XIII, they are still kind of lingering, and we have this window of 10 days to make them conscious. The purpose of this entire podcast and science is to make conscious the unconscious. Until we cannot put our finger on the root cause of what the deviation that has been taking place, especially since the inception of the Gregorian calendar, well, we will be kind of navigating with blind spots. That's kind of the root of a lot of the crisis that we have right now on planet Earth, is the institutionalization of disorder that the Gregorian calendar, that we inherited from the Gregorian calendar. Let's remember also that it was only 3 years ago, in 2022, when we completed 440 years of the Gregorian calendar. And 440 years is the span of 22 generations. So we have been dragging this corruption and this manipulation of time for far too long. And now, like, the intersection is kind of the final moment to open the line of harmony. What happened on October 4th, 1582, Julian, because that was the last day of the Julian calendar, is that people went to sleep on October 4th, especially in Europe, and they woke up on October 15th. And we would thought that was a gradual process that took some years, but it actually took centuries. Some countries only adopted the Gregorian calendar in the century, at the beginning of the 20th century, and it's compounding the distortion, because we could be using or tracking time in ways that connect us to the cosmos, to nature, and to who we are as human beings. We are actually an embodiment of time. The 13 joints, the 20 fingers and toes, 28 phalanges, we are encoded with the numbers of the cycles of time, and that was disrupted almost 4.5 centuries ago. And this is part of really the decolonization of the mind is what needs to happen before we decolonize the earth. There is a need for cleansing right now our mental field, so that we can observe with clarity what has been going on. We have been navigating with blinders, really. And now we have the opportunity to make that conscious and forgive and move forward. And I don't know if you want to add anything to this slide, or to enter the next slide.
We'll go to the next slide, but it's been a long time coming. I think you've laid that out and made that very clear. It's been 22 generations of this mayhem. Now, mind you, that's an auspicious number. And mind you, that this was an extension and, a reform of the Julian calendar that preceded it. So the conundrum is we're doing layers of healing here. There's a layer that has to be addressed dealing with the Gregorian, and then there are deeper layers that go even back to the Roman. But all of these things are coming up in a fractal time compression sense for us to be able to manage it. It's occurring in that way so we can actually manage the process, meaning it's going to be something that is supported, it feels like, by the action of nature, for us to have the ability to review these things and make a new decision, to say that's not a frequency match. We're not going to bring that with us through this threshold, But again, like you said, that's a decolonization of one's mind that has to precede the decolonization of the planet. Now, one of those, I think, shifts in that direction, and the beautiful alignment of all these energies leading up to the golden intersection, is this now recognition of what was formerly considered Columbus Day, to now be
Mm.
recognized increasingly across the United States as Indigenous Peoples Day.
Mhm.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Mhm.
So that is one indication of the shift in consciousness of decolonizing the mind, where there is a growing number of people who recognize the just the value of human life in the fact that we should be
Mhm.
honoring and uplifting and empowering indigenous communities. Again, back to that idea, but
Yeah.
worldwide. At this point, the rise is international. And that's the beauty of this
Mhm.
moment also, is we're seeing that. So this is one beautiful example of that.
Yeah, and that it's important also to highlight that this observation of Columbus Day in the United States, which is basically the the land where there's still some states that are celebrating Columbus Day, some states are celebrating Indigenous Peoples Days. Like we see that in 1994, that shifting consciousness started to happen and is spreading out to more and more parts of the United States or Turtle Island. That there is nothing really to celebrate about genocide, and that is it's in order to shift that energy, we really have the opportunity to honor the ancestors, to honor those native people who are connected to the land for millennia. And the fact that Columbus Day is still being observed in the U.S. and it's always coincides with the second Monday of October. That means that it always will fall between October 8 and 14. Mm. That's the window. Again, October 14, the last day of this conundrum of time. It's going to be the last possibility for Columbus Day to take place. So, and it's a federal holiday also in the United States, which means that it's issued by the government, and it has no, well, it has no sustenance in any religious or special event that happened historically in the U.S., like the Fourth of July. But it's really the commemoration of the usurpation of the land, and it's important to make that conscious.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this one.
Yeah, and here we are. We just want to show the symmetry here that, as we mentioned before, those 10 days that were lost in time, which, by the way, is important to mention that at this point in time is 13 days difference between the Julian count and the Gregorian count, because the Gregorian calendar changed the leap day rule, which means that the, every 4 years there is a February 29th, a leap day. But in the Gregorian reform, that changed, and it was only a leap day if it was a multiple of 4, uh, 100 on, and but not of 400. So every 400 years we don't have a leap day. The year 1600 was not a leap year. The year 2000, because it's a multiple of 400, it wasn't also a leap year. But since the Gregorian reform, we have been through three of those, I guess, and that's why the difference right now is 13 days between the two counts. Again, number 13,
Yeah, interesting.
and yes, and as we can see, the window that started on October 5th, the 16th day of this electric moon, will close on October 14 on the sacred day for Ahau, the golden intersection, day 1. Why the golden intersection is 2 days, as we can see here, because we are wrapping up that cycle, and the next day we are beginning something new. And that's why the same happened with the harmonic convergence of 1987. It's an observation in which really close and the other one to open. And as we can see, we are the two bookshelves of this window are the two most sacred days for the original Maya people. We have October
That
5th
part.
synchronizing with,
Yeah.
yes, that is it's like we can see in green what is happening, and we can see in pink what is being transmuted within that synchronization. Because the first day of the 10 days lost in time is the for the Maya the origin of time, and the last day is also the origin of time, in terms that is the beginning of the long count. But it is, let's remember that the Maya used to have 17 to 19 calendars, and one, like the long count, is measuring really long cycles to the year 3114 BCE. And while the 8 bats, or Washaki bats, is really connected to the oral history, the myth. But both are sacred days, and they are probably the most sacred days. And it's like the guardians of time are really wrapping this 10-day window in harmony, so
Wow.
that we can enter the golden intersection, leaving behind the colonizing trauma. Colonization of the land was followed by the colonization of the minds. So now, to go backwards, we need to decolonize the mind to decolonize the land.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So that means then that 8 bots and 4 Ahau are always stabilizing like this also. So they're always 10
Yes, yes,
apart, like from each other. Right. So that's a
yes,
very interesting thing to
yeah.
note. Say it again.
Yeah, counting 8 bats as the day. Yeah, from the equivalent would be Kin 151 and Kin 160, and if we count days, counting 151, 152, 150, when we arrive to Kin 160, we have 10 union days
Yeah. 10
that
units.
are synchronizing only this year. This is not happening
Yeah,
again in this way in 52 years.
exactly. Though it seems in the effort to stabilize or unify the counts or bring things back into a course correction, because again, like the Gregorian got
Mhm.
out of hand, in a way, and it's just run this program that's
Yeah.
allowed all this mayhem, and so now we see an effect of the traditional route course correcting where this younger brother
Hmm.
went off track, pretty much way off track, right?
Hmm.
So there's an opportunity to bring it back into alignment with the divine, with the actual measure of creation,
Hmm.
that shows up as the golden ratio, etc. So a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful play happening.
It's
It's
very elegant. Yeah.
very elegant,
Yeah.
beautiful word for
and
it.
and 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 kind of another layer. Yes, and another layer of that harmony is that, as we can see on the next slide, it was last year that we completed an important harmonic cycle, which was 532 years from the arrival of Columbus to America. And um, and also, it's important to highlight here that there are two papal bulls that are at the root of the current modern civilization. One is the doctrine of discovery, which is the papal bull Terra Nullius from 1493, and the other one is the Gregorian calendar bull called Inter Gravissimas, which was enacted on October 15, 1582, basically 90 years after the arrival of the people from the old world to the new world. And 532 years is a special holographic time container because it can hold a perfect flower of life of 19 cycles of 28 days. So it kind of contains within this flower of life 18 and 19 cycles of the permutation of the Gregorian calendar. We already said this in many episodes, but just to remind people, those who are new, the Gregorian calendar has a permutation cycle of 28 years. And part of the Gregorian reform is measuring that 28-year cycle and the 19-year cycle, which is the metonic cycle of the moon. So the fact that last year we synchronized with the moon, we completed 28 cycles of 19 years or 19 cycles of years in the Gregorian calendar, is a perfect also harmonic cushion for this distortion to be redeemed and again like wrap up in harmony so that we can move to the next level of consciousness. This is this the Gregorian calendar has kept us in the mentality of the 16th century, and it isn't really now is the moment to transcend that, and we are trusting that anyone watching this episode is making that conscious. And this is also an important window to remind people to sign the petition that we have online for the calendar referendum, because the intention has been there since October 14 of the year 2016, when we launched this petition 9 years ago, to make this shift. As a species, we keep that petition alive because it represents that intention of shifting our consciousness from artificial time to natural time. And of course, here we see everything that is happening in this wave spell. We will not go too deep, but as we can see today, we are in the Red Lunar Earth, King 197, commemorating 2 years of the events in the Middle East. Tomorrow, King 198, we commemorate 16 Solkins of the departure of Lloydine Burris, who was the instrumental in this shift from artificial time to natural time, along with Dr. Jose Arguelles. They really created the tools and the wave of intention that we are still riding. And the next day, October 9th, we have also the birthday of Nicolas Roerich, which is also part of this inspiration of changing the calendar. The 13 moon calendar change peace movement was adopted the banner of peace as a symbol to bring peace through culture, and especially peace through the correct use of or measure of time based on on the systems that the ancestors of this land devised as a way to commune with the cosmos. And this October 12th and 13th, before the 2 days before the golden intersection, we have again the opportunity to, as we see in the news and on social media, these different calls to observe Indigenous Peoples Days, just keep that in the intention in mind that we are transmuting all of that, you know, by making it conscious. Just the fact of making conscious the unconscious is creating that wave that is peaking on October 14 to release the old program and start a new cycle of harmony.
Auspicious.
And of course,
Please go ahead.
yeah, I forgot to mention on Kin 207, on the 12th day of this wave spell of the warrior, we will complete also 18 Solkins from December 21st, 2012. It's the same energy, Kin 207, the blue crystal hand. It actually it doesn't coincide with the same date that was on the long count, which is 4 Ahau, which will correspond to Kin 204. The golden intersection of timelines is on the yellow solar seed, the first day, and that day on the long count will be day 4 Ahau, which was the same marker of December 21st, 2012. It's just because we have 2 leap years in between, 3 leap years, sorry, in between the 2012 and 2025, that we are having this difference of 3 days in the count instead of yeah.
I
Go
put
ahead,
I
please.
put a link in the chat for folks as well with the wave spell video, the warrior wave spell video we published yesterday. We give a little explanation of that difference of 3 days between the counts as well in that video. So if you want to check that out, we provide a little explanation of that there also. And powerful stuff. I mean, this wave spell is really it's perfection. It's so elegant.
Mm-hmm.
When we recognize Yellow Warrior, as you can see, is the 16th solar seal, and that 1-6 is a resonance of the golden ratio, 1.618033.
Mm.
So we can see the reflection of that in the entire wave spell, and then for days 9 and 10 to contain. And notice that it's on that upright angle. It's on that turn of the spiral in this where it's pointing 90 degrees upward. So there is a shift upright. It's a decisive shift. We come into that and we get things in alignment, basically. And we encounter those 2 auspicious days in that sequence. So powerful. And like you said, to complete that, a further turn of the spiral brings us to that echo of December 21st, 2012, though differentiated by 3 days, where that alignment is shifted by those 3 days, which is beautiful because it just extends that corridor of resonance to complete the job.
Yeah.
It just gives us that space of grace to really complete the job. So I really want to encourage people to, from today, from this red lunar earth energy, be very gentle with yourself and be gentle with others as we navigate this, because tensions are going to be high. There's going to be, all sorts of things in the atmosphere wanting to distract you and take you out of your core, out of your peace, out of your center. So you want to be that much more deliberate to safeguard your peace. Do things that are going to be also resonant for you and keep you in that space of your personal peace and grace and all those good qualities, because that's the only thing you can really control right now is how you respond to anything. there's going to be a tendency to react to things also. Though we want to really shift the energy into responsiveness as opposed to reactiveness. And just a subtle change like that is going to do wonders at this time because the energy is so remarkable and so high. So just wanted to posit that as we're kind of considering the process we're navigating. And to kind of wrap.
It is in that. Yeah, it is in that small gap in between reacting and responding that the miracles can happen. If we can make that pause when something comes our way and just instead of immediately taking action or reacting, we allow it to sink in and choose wisely our response. It's only sometimes a matter of seconds, in which we can just hold our thoughts, hold our breath, and take another deep breath and make a different decision of what we usually do.
Yeah, yeah. And that is a great way to describe what the get really reflects is a pause, a deep breath, like a deep opportunity to reconfigure everything, towards a higher harmony and a greater balance. So that is exciting, and we can see here just a sense of where we are before completing this yellow castle, before we enter the green castle. So the fact that we're in a yellow wave spell with this energy of the get on a yellow day, that being the solar seed, in a yellow year, the yellow resonant seed year, completing a yellow castle, all within this energy. And that yellow, and we also cover this in the wave spell video, but that yellow really amplifies the ripening, the essence of ripening. And that something beautiful is actually emerging. Something has been seeded and is coming to fulfillment. That's part of the way this energy can be read.
It's certainly that energy of the ripening of events. It's really showing up in the field,
Yeah.
And I think many people are feeling like ready to
To
change the narrative. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I no doubt. And I want people to, again, take courage, be encouraged. You're not alone. It's like they say in the metro stations around the cities in the U.S., see something, say something. Like if you see this, but take courage to know you're not alone in what you're observing. Like you see this stuff is out of hand, been out of hand for way too long. And again, responsively to that shift, you can change your mind by changing your calendar, change your time, change your frame of reference to observe these things in the 3D phenomena so that you don't get caught up in that reactive cycle. That's what they actually want you to do. That's where they get to harvest your energy, is if you consent and give energy to that and go along with that narrative, that tale they've been spinning for centuries, then that's the narrative that's going to get amplified and energized. Though right now, the real power is in where we place our energy. So if you find that you have a challenge not reacting to the things you might see on the news, well, then don't watch the news. Then certainly don't tune into that. That's not going to help. Find something that's going to help you respond to what's in your heart to fulfill. That's the idea. So where's your bliss? As we talked about with Dan Winter last episode, follow your bliss, because it's that frequency that we want to generate more of in the collective field. So
There is no other better window to follow your bliss than this moment.
This is the one.
Well, every moment, but in particular,
Yeah.
this window and the golden intersection is an opportunity to trust that the universe is holding us in making that shift.
And the fact that time is art, and we're going to move into that next, is a further invitation to take advantage of this most potent creative window. We're in a very powerful creative space now. We've obviously completed an eclipse cycle. We're just now completing a full moon, and it's in this new space, this void of 9 to 10 days now, that we're removed, that we have a chance to create the new. So what was removed gets to be restored, though it can be restored with our creative input. That's the part. So while people are going to be compelled to despair by things that we may be seeing, or the ways that things are being manipulated because emotions are high, we want to pour that energy into creativity. And I would say that our bliss is found in our being creative. I know it is for me. 100%. I'm taking my own medicine. My bliss is in the moments when I am creatively expressing. So to be encouraged, we want to encourage people, just as is going to be the amplification of October 15, Phi Day, to really amplify that energy of time as art. Get out and create art, whether in your home space or out in nature or in community, as they'll be creating in Palenque with community gathered there. People everywhere are encouraged to be creative. That's the other side of this. Reverence, veneration of the ancestors, and acknowledgement of the origin, and the celebration of now and the future that we're generating together. Because that's really the other side of this, is you enter the threshold and you open the panorama on a new vista, a new panorama of creativity. And it's invited now. It's now more than ever is it necessary. So it's just that adage of, being that creative artist that responds to the times. Find your creative voice to express the content of your heart and your soul, and your conscience at this time. So that is the invitation as well. So without further ado, let's jump into Time is Art and take it there, my man.
Yes.
So as we said, today's offering is the +1 on a +1 day. It's the +1 episode, our 52 episode ceremony, and we are truly stepping into the unknown. And Rubén and Alejandra are on location in Palenque right now. I'm tapping in with Ishel from Los Angeles, from the crystalline grid here in LA, where we can hold this energy and frequency right now in this present moment. And we're just so grateful for everybody who's been tuning in. I want to give a shout out to those who happen to be tapping in now in the live chat. We have some activity from folks. It's really wonderful to be here with you in this now moment. And we encourage you to share the video that you'll find at our YouTube channel for the Golden Intersection of Timelines, a beautiful 7-minute explanation video, narrative video that was produced by Alejandra and Rubén. It opened the episode today. We want to encourage you in the coming days, share that video far and wide to tune more people into this opportunity to observe the Golden Intersection of Timelines. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. We invite people to come to the harmonicfactor.com/golden-intersection to learn more. You can get resources there. Again, visit our YouTube channel at the Harmonic Factor, where you can find the videos in Spanish and English to share with people in your communities. And certainly there are AI tools out there. I think you can translate our website into multiple languages as well. If there is a language there you need it translated into, let us know, and we'll select that in the back end to make sure that language is available for you if it doesn't happen to already be available. But we just want to make this as accessible to as many people as possible to hold this observance. And we want to also acknowledge the people who have been helping raise awareness about the Golden Intersection of Timelines up to now. There have been communities and groups who've adopted it as their own, which we're very, very grateful for, because the goal has always been in this effort to raise awareness among our collective. of humanity worldwide. And so at this point in the process, we do want to shout out and acknowledge everybody who has been part of this, from guests that have been on this ceremonial broadcast over the past 52 episodes, on through, and a shout out to everybody who has been a guest. And we certainly invite people to visit our playlist to go back through the 52 plus episodes, and you'll see on the intro cards there who the guests have been on prior episodes. And they've all been incredible. They've all been really, really powerful. And there's been a similar message as well, as we're nearing now this threshold, this opening, this portal of the golden intersection of timelines. And it is a message of, well, it's a multi-layered message. On one layer, the message is to take pause, to take heart, and to get into your center. That there is a certain collapse happening where everything's entering the center. And there's also a call to observe the beauty in every moment, the synchronicity that is abundant. Like, what is there for us to observe, to soften our gaze, and to be more present to our surroundings and the environment in which we inhabit, to pay attention to the synchronicities in our ever-present lives. Shifting into an appreciation of synchronicity is shifting into natural time. Natural time is but a tool to help us observe the nature of nature, which is synchronicity all the time. Like, everything is actually in synchronicity. We just need the proper lens through which to observe the process of synchronicity, the synchronization. So, yeah, so we just offer that. And we want to do a review. But go ahead, Rubén, please.
Yeah, that we wanted just to take this last episode as an opportunity to recap. Of course, the video is the kind of the shortest synthesis that we were able to create, because this, as you said a moment ago, it has many layers, and is actually a lot to take in. But this episode is for those people who really want to get to all these layers, and perceive what is happening, appreciate what is happening beyond the big synchronizations that are included in the video. There are other layers that we want to acknowledge here as a way to keep the record, and to allow those people in the future who may be tuning in to realize the dimension of what happened. This is no doubt a watershed moment, before and after.
I find it interesting. You have the rooster there. I just want to acknowledge the rooster.
Yes.
Because time is art, and we're talking about synchronicity. The wake-up call is clearly going out, from a relative of the dinosaurs, right? That rooster right there.
Yes.
That's an ancient relative right there.
There it is.
Hearkening to us to tune in. So.
Yes. So just in a nutshell, again, we said this last time, but it's important to remind people, because the repetition is the mother of skill, and the more we get what is happening, and the layers what is happening, the more we were able to share with more people. Hey, pay attention. This is all going on. And basically, the gold intersection of timeless of October 14, 15, 2025 is an unprecedented synchronization between the long count, the Tzolk'in, which is the 260-day count, the Gregorian calendar, and the 13-moon 28-day synchronometer. It is coordinated by the golden ratio, which is the mathematical constant present in all creation, 1.618, as Dan Winter said. It is unique. It has a unique and unrepeatable character. It will never happen again. The Gregorian calendar will never reach a golden ratio fractal number. It marks the convergence of past, present, and future. We will go deeper into that in the coming slides. And it is taking place at a key historical moment of humanity. This is what we just covered. This moment of redemption, and in which the entire world is focused on peace. Really, we have a massive amount of people just waking up to our humanity, and that's great. And the last aspect of this synchronization is that the golden intersection is of great mathematical, astronomical, and cultural significance. We want it to go to the history books, or the record as a moment of clarity and introspection and transcendence of the old, covering all those areas: the art, the science, and the spirituality. And we are going to go probably faster on these slides, because there is so many layers of what is happening. But again, part of the beauty of this moment is that every 443 years we complete one perfect fractal of the golden ratio in days. This is counting the leap days, counting the fraction of days, just counting consecutive days. Every time that we reach to 443 solar orbits, we reach a golden ratio fractal of 1,803 days. And that's why it will never happen again, because once we cross that threshold, we will be in a new spiral. We complete that hologram and we enter a new one, and we want to start that new hologram of 443 years with a different energy. That's why we encourage everyone just to extend the observation from October 14 to 15, so that we can make that shift, conscious of closing the old and welcoming the new.
Beautifully.
Yeah, we can go to the next slide.
Beautifully put. Yeah.
Here we can see, just to for those people who are still confused, from exact moment of midnight of October 15, 1582 to the start of October 15, which would be that bridge between October 14 to 15, we complete exactly 161,803 days. But that marker will extend over October 15, because the LilCount measures in fractions of a day. So that the October 15, we will have 161,803.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, until we arrive to the end of the day and we complete day 161,804. What we want to make conscious and is that, as we can see on the alternative time units, we can see that we have interesting fractals in minutes, especially is almost 232 and 33 million minutes elapse, which we will see in the last slide why is that important. But just hold that thought, because it is part of the beauty of what is transpiring. This is a last minute aha moment that we experienced this week. And here we see the map of the 13 Bactuns, the cycle that we closed on December 2012. We see the 13th Bactun highlighted in magenta, because that was the period of time when the Gregorian reform and the mechanical clock took over and created that blind period of time in which we lost our memory. Especially, we lost the memory of the power of number 13. So instead of entering that last stage of the spiral, the number 13, we entered like a dark age of Jose Arguelles calls it in the Mayan factor the baktun of the mechanization of time. And this mechanization of time is what has led us to where we are today. So in fractal terms, we are reconciling everything that took place since the beginning of civilization, and that was condensed in that window of 20 generations that goes from the year 1618, when the 13th Baktun started, and ended in 2012. Let's remember 1618 is another fractal of the golden ratio in years. So we are basically experiencing another fractal opportunity to close and redeem the the the, the cycles of time in at a higher octave, after almost 13 years of crossing that event horizon of the 13th Baktun cycle, which is basically the cycle of evolution of the current species called the Homo sapiens sapiens. And there is another 260 generation cycle that we started on December 21st, 2012, and we are basically the first generation of those 260 generations that will
Wow.
lead into a new age for humanity.
Let that sink in for a minute. Just to let that one sink in. We are the first generation of a new species, essentially. Homo noosfericus is how it's referred to. Some refer to us as Homo luminous. That's another term applied by some to this new species that is emerging given the set of circumstances we're navigating, and the fact that, an outcome of this process, the pressure of this is going to catalyze a new species.
Yeah. Let's remember that each square of this matrix here, it's almost 20 years. So basically, the last cartoon, which was cartoon 260, took place from around 1992 to 2012, and prior to 1972 to 1992. So all of us who were born in that window, we had the opportunity to fully, hopefully, live through that transition of the last generation of the old cycle and the new generation of the new cycle. And that's why we have this responsibility of bringing this message.
Exactly, because part of it is being conscious of it means that we have a responsibility to guide those as yet emerging into a new cycle, entirely, like being part of that process. While some are transitioning from the old ones, there are those ones born now who don't have any of that prior programming necessarily. They don't come with that, like, we've all gone through on some level. So
Yeah.
there's a role, obviously, for us to play with that in mind. See this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this here.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we see the same map in which we highlight the beginning and the end, and the phi, or the golden section, the 5 point, because let's remember that that entire cycle of 260 generations that we just mentioned, which is the 13 Bactun cycle, started on a day for a how and closed on a day for a how, which is the equivalent of for sun. And the generation 160, which is what we see in green here, marks the golden ratio, of that cycle, and it marks the emergence of this prophet upon which the Catholic Church has built its image. And the Gregorian calendar is just a reflection of that mentality and that worldview. So basically, the the entire cycle is that we are right now closing on a day for a how, October 14, 2025, is bringing us back to the beginning of the long count, to the end of the long count, and to the Katun, where we shifted from the Julian count to the Gregorian, to the from the Roman count to the Julian count. That's when Jesus Christ appeared on planet Earth, during that window. So basically, the year zero in the Gregorian and Julian scheme of things um, coincides with the emergence of this historic figure, and of course, probably he would never knew that his image and his name was going to be used to manipulate the souls and the minds of so many people. So the fact that this for a how energy is connected to the golden ratio, it's allowing us to really perceive all of this story, this narrative, from a higher perspective, and make conscious through the harmonic cycles of time, the the relevance of the times we are living, and the importance of this window that we are entering, which is basically, for those people also who have not really fully got it, October 14 and 15 will represent on the indigenous Maya count those same energies that mark the golden section of the 260-day matrix. And those are, as we mentioned, those days have fractal qualities within that 260 cartoon hologram, which holds, instead of 260 days, 260 generations of 260 periods of almost 20 years. That is the span of one generation. So the golden ratio is basically coding from start to finish the entire cycle and the emergence of the Julian and the Gregorian calendar.
So the term
And
son of righteousness kind of takes on a new meaning there too. Interestingly, I mean, the placement of, again, the timing, as you say, the coinciding between the birth of Jesus, so called, as well as then the timing of the for a how
Mhm.
over the, the matrix or the framework applied. I mean, it's really
Yeah,
quite something to see that and know that that shows up right there at that golden ratio space or
yeah.
position. It's
And
phenomenal.
let's remember that Jesus Christ really represents the Christ consciousness, which is the consciousness that we all possess. It's not just some illuminated people who come to the planet. We all have that seed of divinity within us.
It's
It's just a
interesting.
matter, yeah, of
It,
believing it.
it's interesting too that through the Rudolf Steiner lens, I remember listening some time ago about Christ being related as an expression of nature itself, an expression of Mother Nature. So when we talk about Christ consciousness and with the Christ spirit or the Christ impulse, we're talking about how it manifests as Mother Nature, literally as an expression of Christ
Yeah.
being, so to speak. Yeah.
And it is also connected to the emergence of the noosphere. The,
Yes.
this in Pierre Teilhard de Chardin's view, we
Yes.
have the noogenesis, and we have the after that I think comes the Christogenesis or something like that, in which we really that mind of the earth becomes illuminated, and Christ consciousness just enfolds the entire earth.
I love that. So
Yeah.
I love that expression. Now, what about the one we're currently looking at here?
Yeah, but this is basically the same use of the 13 Backtun map to track these fractal cycles of 360 days, in which each of the columns represents one Backtun at the bottom and one tune at the top. So basically, we can see how the 13 Backtuns end on December 21st, 2012, and then we go back again to the upper octave of this graphic, and we see that the 13 tunes that we are closing on October 14, 15, 15, 18, 2025 are a fractal representation of those 13 stages of evolution. So basically, during these 13 cycles of 360 days, we have been reliving through fractal time compression that entire history of human civilization. That's
There we
why
go.
it's no surprise that we are arriving to this climatic point with so much going on planet Earth.
Wow. Mm.
And and we are right there at the end of this fractal count, where thanks to the beauty of the harmonics embedded in the long count, we can see how this marker is connecting o- with the start of the Gregorian calendar. Like again, in the same way that those 10 days lost in time are wrapped in harmony, the golden ratio is wrapping in a mantle of harmony this cycle, so that we can really compose that energy and use it for our own evolution.
Mm. Mm. It's exquisite. Compost and compose. We're invited to
Mm-hmm.
compose something beautiful of these circumstances, and it's
A
composting
new symphony.
a new symphony, the rhythmic symphony. Real talk. Okay, so then in this window, here's another representation of that same span of, well, the
Mm-hmm.
span particularly related to the duration of the Gregorian calendar. So this is also encased in a very sacred frequency, as we can see, a very purpose-oriented frequency. Let's talk about that.
Yes, yeah, as we can see, uh, here we can take the entire span of 161,803 days and see the two bookends of that period, in which October 15, 1582 corresponds to on the dream spell to Kin 230, the white solar dog, and the other book and the last day, October 14, corresponds to Kin 204, the yellow solar seed. Both are solar days, which is important, is the solar tone of intention, and it it is pulsing that solar vibration that gives us light, the sun, and it's coding both the birth of the two avatars or emissaries of peace that arrived to Earth in the 19th century and who left this legacy of the banner of peace. We are talking about Nicholas Roerich and Elena Roerich. So the entire window of redemption of the Gregorian calendar, it's coded by or is guarded by these signatures of these two emissaries of peace, whose symbol was adopted by the 13 moon 28-day calendar peace movement in the 90s to bring that that shift in consciousness to the planet. So at the end we see also how the phi ratio is present in the number 13, the double presence of the number 13 for the long count date, the fact that is the day for Ahau holding the golden section, and the fact that is the golden number in fractal terms, what we are completing in 443 years.
Exquisite, exquisite. I encourage people to take the time to study these images if you can, because obviously there's a lot of detail there. But once you start to get the factors, you begin to see the placements of these.
And they're all
remarkable.
published. They're all published on the website.
Yes.
Harmonic, the harmonicfactor.com/golden intersection, and at the end of that page you can also check the white paper and the article that we presented 260 days ago,
Yes.
covering everything that we are covering now, but in writing.
And here's a beautiful special image coming up with this. Let's talk about this one.
Yeah, this is now we are speaking about what comes after the golden intersection, and let's remember that the Maya were connected to the fabric of time in a very different way than modern civilization is, and they could, based on the observation of cycles, they could project those cycles into the future. And what we see here is basically a work of art. Also, is the west panel carved at the top of the Temple of Inscriptions here in Palenque, in which we can see the in green highlighted the dates that are connected to the start, the end of the 20 Bactun count and the start of a new time, in which basically, to the long story short, on the east panel there is the story of all the dynasties of Palenque, and on the west panel they go kind of into the future, and they narrate like a mythic story that is happening in the future. So one connects us to the past, this panel connects us to the future, and they speak about the closing of the 20 Bactun cycle in the year 4772. That the first green that we see there highlighted speaks about the date Tenahau 13 Jackskin, 13 is the date on the hub names and more terms, but basically that's the day on the 365-day cycle of the Maya, and that corresponds to, on the long count, to date 1.0.0.0.0.0. Basically, the long count, which has 5 numerical positions, one for the Bactun, one for the Katun, one for the Tun, one for the Winal, cycles of 20 days, and one for the Kin, grows one more position, and then we arrive to that date of unity in which we complete one cycle of 20 backtunes of 144,000 days. Let's remember that 20 is the number of totality, because we have 20 fingers and toes, and to count, and to connect with this third dimensional reality. And 21 is the number of unified totality. And the next green that we see here is the mention to the return of Pakal, the king, that is whose rest remain at the bottom of that temple, as a date when he will return exactly 80 calendar rounds, or 8 cycles of 52 years after he was enthroned as king of Palenque. And that will take place on the Baktun 21. So why is this important? Because October 13 will mark the closing of Baktun 20, and October 14 will mark the beginning of Baktun 21. So we know that and 21 are on that golden spiral. Is the 21 is the number that the the number 13 on the spiral, and we can, let's say, make the connection that we are, now that we are closing this fractal cycle of 13 tunes, also entering a new spiral that will close on Baktun 21 on October 14. So basically from October 14, 2025 to October 14, 4772, like 27, 47 years in the future, I think, we have this like quantum jump in the spiral, that we go from position 13.0.13.0.0 to position 1.0.0.0.0. It's the number of unity. That's why it's 1 followed by 5 zeros. So we complete one fractal hologram of time of 20 Baktuns. That cycle was called a Pictun, and this is what was recorded by the ancestors of this land in stone, so that we can navigate these times with a reference guide, and see where we are at this moment, so that we can connect not only with the future, but really open a new path of harmony for those 7 Baktuns that remain to the closing of Baktun 20 in the year 4772. So the span of those 7 Baktuns, which is each Baktun is 20 generations, is basically 7 dynasties. This is the way that Jose Arguelles defined them, the 7 dynasties of Timeship Earth. And we were basically holding space for those 140 generations held in those 7 dynasties that will inherit the earth. And in the same way that Native American people make their follow like a code of life, in which every action must consider the next 7 generations, so that they can enjoy the same benefits that 7 generations before enjoyed. We are now really holding space for those 7 dynasties that will follow us, so that in the future we can bring back all this wisdom and all this science that was covered initially by the jungle and also by the the loss of memory, this mental fog that doesn't allow us really remember who we are and why we are here.
Well, I think it's
And these yeah, these monuments really help us focus on that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's incredible that you happen to physically be there right now, as we know in the ceremony coming up in the days ahead, you and those gathered will be commemorating that that reality from that particular aspect of the Temple of Inscriptions. And as we
Yeah.
acknowledge past, present, future, and I did a little quick math. So, it's only going to be about 1,003,328 days until we get
Mhm.
to the end of the Pictoon. So it's not that far, but 7 dynasties, basically a cool 1,008,000 days. That's 7 dynasties.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fine. I think, we can
Yes.
all make a plan to come, forward in the future and see how things are going
Yeah.
and be here to celebrate Pakal's return, the prophesied return.
Yeah, and remember that we are also multidimensional beings. So there is in the same way that our ancestors live in our DNA, we have also future selves that are connected to our present body and our experience here on this at this time on Earth,
Yeah.
and basically we may be signaling or calling ourselves from the future, so that we can make this passage as harmonious as possible. And here what we did is really mapping that 21 Bactun cycle by just adding to the 13 Bactun uh, those 7 Bactuns that 8 Bactuns that we need to complete a cycle of 21 Bactuns. So in this way, we can see that spiral that we mentioned in the video that connects the past, the present, and the future through this golden thread, in time, in which we go from the start of human civilization, zero, to the end of the cycle of history on December 21st, 2012, to the future, to the people who will inherit this planet in the future on Bactun 21. And we can see here again all the perduring presence of 4 or the golden ratio throughout the entire span of 21 Bactuns. In the same way that we can track it on 260 days, we can track it on these 260 cartoons. And we see there, like when we arrive to number 8, we have the 4 at the beginning, which marks the start date of the long count. We have at the 8 marker Bactun 4, which was the 160 generations of human civilization. Then we close the 260 generation or the 13 Bactun on 4, and the Bactun 21 will close again on that cartoon 4. So basically, from start to finish, the golden ratio in the shape of the glyph 4 is coordinating the entire cycle. That's what we wanted to show here, and that's why it's highlighted with green everywhere we see the golden proportion.
Past, present, future. right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow. Wow. And I love the fact that it's extended out to the completion of Baktun 21, because then that is on that thread of continuity of the logarithmic spiral, the Fibonacci sequence, the
Yeah,
13 to 21, and so on and so forth.
yeah.
So no,
And
that's
this day that is recorded in stone is the eighth day of Baktun 21. It's another
right.
number within the which happens to coincide with October 21, 4772. So these numbers pervade through the entire layer structure of the, the synchronization that is taking place.
Wow.
The 5, the 8, the 13, and the 21.
Yeah. It's elegant. It's exquisite. There's a lot of words for it, but certainly it's a great thing to make it conscious now, because then that also sends that signal wave to the future, to our future selves, saying, "Hey, we got it.
Mhm.
We got it. We picked up what you were relaying to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
We were picking up what you're putting down." So that's amazing. So again, this is a further invitation to people tapping in around the world, making this conscious. Doesn't matter where you are on the planet. There is an anchoring of this energy happening in Palenque, and you can connect in the noospheric field with it, regardless of where you are on the planet. That's the part that we want to invite people to really recognize. We want you to make this conscious and make it personal wherever you are. The whole earth is sacred, in fact. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you are, just your being there makes it sacred. So just be present. This is the window to certainly not allow ourselves to get swept away by unnecessary distractions and things like that. You want to pull in your consciousness, your presence into the heart, as we've been saying, as much as possible, to gather it to yourself and cross this beautiful portal with that
Mhm.
alignment in heart and mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Next.
on the next slide, we can observe another layer that came recently into that was revealed recently. The more we pay attention to the fractal qualities of time, the more we can fully grasp the the magic that is transpiring. Here we can see what we were saying before, that the span of those 161,803 days is really close to the 233 million minutes. And we can see here in the converter that basically on day 161,805 we will enter that threshold of number 233, that happens to be the 13th stage of the golden spiral, the Fibonacci spiral. That means that on kin 207, the same energy that closed the 13th back tune, we will arrive to that threshold of minutes that is also connected to the number 13 and to the frequency of the Fibonacci or the golden spiral. This is just a lot to take, to contemplate.
Well, I think it's beautiful, and for folks to make this conscious, when you start with how many minutes to one day, for example, and then you do the math, and you're dealing with a certain summary of days. I mean, that's basically how you work it backwards, but the numbers don't lie.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful display, and to
Yeah.
point the fact also that we're just looking at these numbers. You can go a lot of different directions with them.
It's a redemption of the mechanical clock, is the way I was seeing it, because when let's remember that when we started to divide time in smaller and smaller and smaller units, we basically mechanize it. And the fact that this mechanization is arriving to that threshold in which, as we can see on the black box, the formula to divide the minutes in days is dividing by 1440. That happens to be the Fibonacci number that precedes 233. So basically, the 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 golden intersection is allowing us to really use these harmonics to create the container for that harmonization of the Gregorian calendar and the mechanical clock, so that we can again compose a new
Yes.
story, a new melody.
Wow. Powerful. I mean, considering, as we said at the top of this broadcast, we've been tracking this observation overtly since you published the Medium article at 1,440 days out from the golden intersection. Now here we are, 7 days to go as of this broadcast. So it's quite something to
Realizing
and realizing this again, the as you say, the redemption of artificial time, the tick-tock clock, insofar as what these numbers are communicating, and that's the piece. It's like expressing a perfect harmonization, and for it to be literally completed, it also effectively is redeeming those 3 leap days that occur in that entire subset. You know, the 3 leap days to accommodate the shift or the differential between why we're not on kin 204 or on, you know, in other words, why the seeming misalignment, but it's not a misalignment at all. But the fact that, again, you pointed to for a how, you know, shows up when it does, whereas it was for a how in December 21st, 2012, whereas now, and the coinciding galactic signature was 207, whereas now 207 is 3 days displaced or seemingly 3 days adjusted to accommodate for those Hunab-Ku days, those 0.0 adjustments. But again, the fact that this is summing up 233 million minutes to the day 3 days later. That's just that part is exquisite and also mind-blowing, and that we're making it conscious right now. Like
it's really the cherry on top of the cake.
Wow.
And of course,
Wow.
it's important to realize that both counts are necessary for this to happen. The reason that the ancestral Maya doesn't stop on February 29th and the galactic Maya count stops and we observe as 00 Hunab-Ku is part of that dance between the two counts, that because the long the ancestral count doesn't need the Gregorian reference,
No.
but because the galactic Maya count is a way to adjust the and really is a transitional count. So it's designed for us to make that bridge or that jump from the Gregorian time to natural time, from artificial to natural. And the two counts are going to merge also in the future, in the year 2208. That will happen. So it's a beautiful way to see how the two work together, because the end of the 13th Baktun will correspond to the golden number in days, and in the galactic Maya count, the celebration of that day, Kin 207, will synchronize with this 233 million minutes mark,
That's
to wrap it up again into beautiful
Just an exclamation punctuation on it. It's like,
Mhm.
in case you
Yeah.
didn't think this was divinely orchestrated from, as you
Mhm.
said, from divided time to divine time, So, wow. So special.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is also something that we wanted to highlight, even though it's a little bit more technical, but the fact that we are completing 4,680 days from December 21st, 2012, and that's the amount of days comprising in those 13 cycles of 360 days. It happens to be that there are certain numbers that are considered super numbers. The more factors they have, it's the a measure of how it can that amount of cycles can be nested in different time cycles, in, which is basically what we are showing on this slide, is that there is not only 13 cycles of 360 days comprising that gap and 18 cycles of 260 days, but it's also 6 cycles of 780 days, which corresponds to the synodic period of Mars, and 8 cycles of 585 days, which is more or less the synodic cycle of Venus, which is around 584 to 585 days. Let's remember the synodic cycle is the time it takes for those two planets to come to the same alignment. So basically, um, what we are saying here is that it's not only the calendars that are counting, but also the planets in and their cycles that are in the background synchronizing with this calendrical alignment. The actual time that it takes for Earth and Venus to meet again is 584 days, and the exact time it takes for Mars and the Earth to align on the same with the Sun is 780 days, which is basically part of the mathematics of the Maya, in which 3 Solkins is one synodic period of Mars, 780 days. 3 times 260 is 780, and that's why uh, we can see so much harmony, because this when we arrive to these markers, they harmonize the our minds, and they harmonize the solar system too. There is a Let's remember that the Earth is contained within Mars and Venus, so those are our closest neighbors, and those they are getting synchronized too.
So we're looking at 5 markers right here.
Mhm.
Phi is
Yeah,
the harmonizer among all of these observations we're making. Phi, 5.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Wow. It just
Yeah, and we
continues.
put also the 360 cycles of 13 days, because imagine like a circle, a perfect circle, in which each degree corresponds to one wave spell, or one 13-day cycle. And it's another way of perceiving it that allows us to really visualize the beauty of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's elegant. It's absolutely elegant. No question about it. And I love the way that we can present it in this format as well. So we see the nested version of what we are witnessing with these
Mhm.
cycles, as far as them containing other
Yeah,
cycles
this
within
is
them.
this is inspired by what that Dan Winter uh, have well, what he explained to us, and what we discussed on our last episode, in which we are seeing basically the collapsing of compounding waves or cycles of time connecting at the center. All these, if we see each cycle as a spiral that is coiling into itself. There is at the center like smaller cycle, and at the outer range the greater cycles. And let's say that the red golden square here is a measure of the 20 Baktun count, which is containing all the other counts. So we have 20 cycles of 144,000 days. Within that, the 443-year cycle of the Gregorian calendar is the second one. The third one will be the 360-day, the Tun count. The fourth one would be the Solkin of 260 days. And the last one is what we already presented as the cycles of the return of sacred power, cycles of 144 days. Again, 144 is the only number in the golden spiral that is a square and a circle. 144 is 12 times 12 and is the 12th step in that spiral, in that golden spiral. So at the heart of this convergence is that number again, which is the only one in the spiral that connects the square and the circle. The Gnostic tradition says that the Holy Grail is really the full comprehension of how the masculine and the feminine, the square and the circle or the spiral, meet in perfect resonance or in perfect alignment. So basically what we are trying to show here is that our hearts are really the collapsing point of all those time waves. Can we hold the charge, as Dan Winter was saying? Can we really hold the memory in our minds so that cascading structure of cycles can enter the heart? And because this is all like numbers and data, at the end of the day, the heart knows, doesn't need all these calculations. It just, that's the way, the nature of the heart is to collapse waves into harmony, into phi ratio, and that's what the golden intersection really is, and what we were tapping into our last episode.
And I especially
And
love this one. Yeah, this is great.
yeah, this is basically the mapping of those cycles of the return of sacred power. Each little line here, or each segment of 144 days, was mapped along a timeline of 52 of them, so that we can project them into the future and see uh, when they will, when we will complete one hologram of 52 cycles of 144 days. And the measurement of these cycles started on October 22nd, 2010, is when the revelation of these cycles of the return of sacred power came to Jose Arguelles, Balum Botan, and basically he realized on that day, which actually was Kin 197 today, October 22nd, 2010 was Kin 197, and he realized that there was 791 days to December 21st, 2012, which is a mirror of 197.
791, 197. Wow.
Yeah, and those 791 corresponds to 7 cycles of 113 days, which were the cycles of the return of the Lord of the Dawn, or the return of Quetzalcoatl, which were measuring the collapsing of the and the cycles of 144 days were really a measure of the new energy or the new wave activating. So
Yes.
one was the I think on the original chart
The
published by Galactic
destabilization
Research.
of the material,
Well,
called it the destabilization of the material, was the
Mhm.
113-day cycles, and the
Yes,
return of sacred power, or the re-spiritualization of matter, was the characterization of the
Mhm.
144-day cycles. Yeah.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
yeah,
So
very
we can
powerful.
see that
Love this.
on galactic synchronization, which is the first green bar that we see there, we close 7 cycles of 144 days, and on July 26, 2013, as we cross that threshold of 26 years of the 52-year cycle of the new dispensation of time, we enter the ninth cycle, the eighth cycle of 144 days. If we keep counting cycles of 144 days in the same way that the Maya were counting cycles of 144,000 days, we get another measure of harmony.
Yeah.
And it happens to be that the golden intersection marks that transition of cycle 38 to cycle 31, 39. uh, or if we count just from galactic synchronization onwards, we have 30, we are closing 31, entering 32. And the 7 cycles are in on the left side of the equation. But basically, if we go to with the continuous measure, we will basically enter cycle 39 and close cycle 38. And let's remember, we are in new series cycle 1.38. And the beauty of this is that we project it into the future to complete a perfect hologram of the one of these cycles of the return of sacred power, 144 days each. We arrive to April 22nd, 2030. I think it's in the graphic, which happens to be Earth Day, which happens to be the same day that the prophecy of the 13 heavens and 9 hells started in the year 1521 with the arrival of Hernan Cortes to the coast of Veracruz here in Mexico. So April 22nd, 2030, Earth Day, will wrap up that prophetic window of 52 cycles of 144 days. And it gives us
Mm.
another confirmation that everything is aligned in precise and masterful ways, so that we can uh, enter this new cycle and this new beginning of the spiral with the knowing and the certainty that there is something deeper and more beautiful
Mm.
happening beyond this veil of illusion that we are presented in the media.
Mm.
There is a larger process taking place, and the fact that we are wrapping this pilgrimage towards the golden intersection today, being the same day that this revelation took place on October 22nd, 2010. It's a beautiful confirmation that we are on the right track, and we just keep the course towards those harmonic notes of harmony that are awaiting for us.
Mm. Wow. It is an evident roadmap, clearly, that is,
Yeah.
on screen at the moment. Especially, as you said, when we reflect on the fact that that initial terma was
Hmm.
uncovered by Arguelles on October 22nd in the year 2010. And this was
Yeah.
one of the last things he actually published That was among the last things he published before leaving his body the spring to follow. And so just in terms of what that was indicating, those numbers are frequencies. They don't lie. They just indicate what's happening. And like you said, the 113 and the 144, those intersecting cycles as well. We're seeing what we've seen emerge since then. As it says here, this was really describing the process of the increase of spiritual energy activating the noosphere. So what we're doing together now is synchronizing this activity of making conscious with the golden intersection of nature itself in terms of time and frequency counts and things of this nature. It shows up, obviously, as you said, as a super number. This is a super moment, this golden intersection of timelines. It's a super node of resonance that will never happen again in this unique way. So it's not to be understated, the potency of this moment. And then furthermore, to see how it's woven with and expressing prophecy also is a very important thing. And I think our most immediate, as we've discussed today, there's this broader, bigger picture prophecy to 4772 and the return of Pakal. And yet there's a nearer prophecy as well, even within our micro future here, I would say, relative to we enter this threshold October 14, 15, 2025, and there's a giving way to the completion of that 52 unit hologram of those 144-day cycles, completing on Earth Day, no less, as you say, in the year 2030. Now, we know that there are narratives running parallel right now to what we're holding space for that are also looking at 2030 as a certain marker for various purposes and outcomes that are being deployed and attempted at various levels of society. And those who are aware are familiar with the SDGs and things like this. These have become a framework that most of the world has been organized to address. And it's not that the 17 focus areas of that framework are not important. They're very important. Yet the mechanisms and the riddling that comes with that entire structure and systems are almost to the point of just preventing humanity from actually achieving those goals. In other words, it's not a frequency match, we could just say. And we could see where certain decisions and certain efforts are ineffective at that level also. And while we're navigating this in this direction, it seems that through and beyond this golden intersection of timelines, it's happening in the International Month of Cooperatives that we happen to be in right now, or rather the National Month of Cooperatives in the International Year of Cooperatives. It's national in the U.S., but it's international for the whole year in terms of cooperatives, as well as a simultaneous return to origin, meaning the rise of indigenous awareness and people's own return to the origin or their source of their being, right? There's an invitation for all these things at once. Now, it seems to me, as these things do take time to take root and to really become a new standard, we've been holding the space going on 9 years as of October 14th ourselves for this, and a little bit more. We kind of reached that 9-year marker back this July. But in any case, we're here now, and as I said, I see a further extension of that invitation based on those numbers of the 144-day cycles, return of sacred power. So I just want to posit that here, that the get is a threshold, it's a doorway. It's not the end of anything. It's just the proper orientation to where nature is guiding us. I mean, today's a Red Earth Day, Lunar Earth. We know the quality of Earth is synchronicity and navigation. So that's also being stabilized right now in this yellow warrior wave spell as we pay attention to the codes and the signs. So I don't want to delay any further, because I also know, as you are live and things are really direct in the jungle in Palenque, we want to invite people just as we wrap this up. I know you got to go, and I want to wrap this up in a few moments. Just to invite people tuning in everywhere, thank you for tuning in now to the special broadcast. And if you catch us in the future, and hopefully before the golden intersection of the timelines, there are things you can do yourself right where you are. Again, if you're able to join in Palenque, that's fantastic, and we're so grateful for those who will be physically present. Though we also want to invite people to tune in right where they are. And Ruben, go ahead and share with people what you have summarized here, just on the,
Yeah, well,
if you don't mind.
we have just to say goodbye and give thanks to all the people who have been with us through this journey, and have the stamina to go through all these layers of cycles, to really, at the end of the day, maybe forget all about that, and just that day follow these simple principles, is to really go through that window in a more personal and intimate way, not so much in the mind but really in the heart. We just gave the numbers and the data so that our hearts can integrate and catch up with our minds. So, so that on that day we experience more heart-centered peace and clarity, that we align with the intentions that are in the same resonance of the golden ratio. Our thoughts and our feelings are aligned with harmony, that we are really present uh, wherever we are, just presence without resistance. Whatever comes your way, as we said before, don't react, just respond harmoniously. Surrender to a higher order. This is what is we have been really highlighting, that this is an opportunity to really surrender to something larger than us, and stay in resonance with the source code of life, which is basically the golden ratio. Operates within our DNA, within the formation of galaxies. So from the micro to the macro, it is part of our experience. And let's start envisioning this day as a golden opportunity to meet with loved ones, meditate, celebrate life in ceremony, co-create any art form that reflects the intricate harmony that connects us all within the fabric of space and time. That's the really the message for that day. Is wherever you are, whatever you are doing, just drop into your heart and allow the magic to happen there. That's the alchemical container. Create the new dream from there. Create the art and the vision of your highest dream in the form of art.
Beautifully said. And we trust this invitation reaches people where they are all around the world. Grateful again for you journeying with me, brother, over this
Yeah,
sequence
sure.
of several heptads. A big shout out and love to our partners and companions in Alejandra and Ishel, and very grateful for our 260 pod, and certainly for the resonance and reflection of all our kin worldwide, every guest that we've had over this journey of multiple episodes as well. We give great thanks to you, inviting people to visit the YouTube channel where they can again see the playlist and find previous episodes. But thank you all for tuning in. I'm being advised to complete the full cycle here, and I got to go to what's next. I know if you got to jump, it's okay. I understand. I know you're kind of under
Yeah, I
a little
will let
pressure
you
there.
up
Yeah,
because they are waiting for us. We
of
are going
course.
to be with the elders and hear their directions for the coming days. So
Absolutely.
they are waiting for us, but we give thanks
And
for your presence, for holding here the space every 7 days to create this container. And
fantastic.
this is basically thank you for being such a great partner in this adventure towards universal forgiveness and universal harmony. Thank
Aho,
you, thank you,
aho.
thank
Big love to Abuelo Nico and Abuelo Mario. All right. And Lakesh, to you.
you, Lakesh.
Thank you. Thank you, family. And yeah, we're going to wish Ruben and Alejandra all the very best in the holding space in Palenque as they will continue to do. Thank you for that. I know they had to log off. But we're going to go ahead and keep with the flow into what's next. And as we wrap up this +1 episode, we want to encourage people to visit theharmonicfactor.com if they haven't already acquired a 13 moon 28 day harmonic synchronometer for the current year, the yellow resonant seed. We certainly invite you to do so at the website. It's a donation for the download. It's a PDF document. You'll get that. You should get a link immediately, and or the link will be emailed to you once you make the donation. Thank you for that. And of course, we want to send our great energy to our relatives who are anchoring the energies in Palenque. We're so honored to have had the chance to have the broadcast live from the jungle today. Just to give some of that essence here for those tuning into the live, we could hear the animals and the atmosphere, the ambiance of the jungle there. As Ruben was tapping in with that great transmission. Return to origin, and the observation begins in a few days. Kin 220, which coincides with October 10th. And so that observation begins in Palenque with people beginning to gather October 10th, and it goes through the 17th, which, as we've noted, coincides with Kin 207, bringing things full spiral to the same kin of December 21st, 2012. It's just a beautiful witnessing to everything happening in the field between Kin 200 and 207, including the golden intersection of timelines, of course. And for those who are interested in learning more, they're invited. Well, this is the program, for example, of what they're going to be doing I'm sorry, yeah, I stand corrected, Kin 200. I thought I said 200. But Kin 200 through 207. In any case, this is just a glimpse into what they're going to be doing as far as the program in Palenque, and then also encouraging people, if you want to get the full program, if you do intend to be there and you don't yet have the program, you can certainly tap in with the WhatsApp group on screen if you haven't already and get access to the full program and the itinerary for the on-site events at Palenque. And also, we're encouraging folks around the world to tap into our Facebook page. We're going to rev that up a little bit more in the coming days, just to help anchor where people around the world can posit their experiences and what they're doing to observe the golden intersection of timelines in their sacred spaces around the world. So we invite that as well. We invite you to tap in over there. And that would be great if you want to tap in over there. I'm getting summoned, and we do want people to be off tech, yes, of course, and I'm encouraging people all the same to give us an indication prior to the days where you may be. Again, this is an ongoing event online on Facebook. We don't expect people to be on their devices, of course, during the activities. In fact, we encourage you to be in nature, as we've been saying the entire time. But thank you to Ishel, who continues to text me updates. And I'm just going to call them out because they're happening in real time. And, when you're producing events like this, things happen in real time. So let me change the artwork here because apparently it's maybe making things a little dizzy. I'm not sure. The title back. Yep, that's not the one either. Pardon me, everybody. Thank you. Don't want to have you all distracted by the graphics. Though in any case, we encourage people to visit the Facebook page. Just tap in there. Let us know what you intend to be doing on those days, just as a way to stay connected. Okay. And thank you so much with that. And I think the only other thing I want to make mention of course, is the ongoing petition, as Rubén brought up as well. So we do encourage people to sign this ongoing petition. We initiated it October 14th in the year 2016. And so it's special to us that it meets its 9-year mark as of October 14th, 2025. So, and again, we didn't know about the golden intersection of timelines when we launched this. It's just the effect of those things, it seems, that are coming full spiral and are collapsing into that heart center, as we've been pointing out. So this petition is among that energy that we've been putting out there broadly, and we invite people to continue to share this petition as we want to continue to see the numbers there rise and increase. And with that said, I just want to take time again to thank everybody who's tuned in over this entire journey, over this past the past year, literally, to today. And there is still time. I'm seeing you shout this out. There is a community call with Christina Shea and myself and Rubén, tapping in with her community this afternoon. And the call is open to folks. You can find the link there in the live chat. So we encourage folks, if you have the time and bandwidth this afternoon, to tap in with us. It'll begin at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And that is 4 p.m. if you're on the East Coast in the United States. So feel free to join us over there for that wonderful opportunity to share with Christina Shea as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring us home. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in all this time, all these many, many heptads together. And yeah, Ishel will, in fact, be over there decoding galactic signatures for folks that maybe don't know their galactic signature, would like to learn more. So with that said, thank you to one and all. Thank you to Rubén and Alejandra. Thank you, Ishel. Thank you, Delia Sky, for all your contributions. Thank you to all the folks who tune in the chat and have tuned in all this time. And we look forward to more. You can always stay connected with us on Instagram at The Harmonic Factor, or obviously on Facebook as well. Harmonic Convergence 2028 is our handle on the Facebook page. So please find us online. And of course, you can find us via our YouTube channel at The Harmonic Factor. But in Lakesh, to everybody, thank you so much for your presence and your wonderful heart and loving kindness in sharing this journey together with us. All right? In Lakesh, Alakin. Give great thanks.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view. Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view.